No hard selling during this presentation. What I'm going to talk about is a story. And about 4 years ago, I attended one of Richard's events. And Malik Parek from SPI did a talk also called Go Where You're Not Supposed to Be. And when I attended that event, Kalibrr had not started yet. Kalibrr was an idea. It was a problem that I wanted to solve. And at that time, I was running a BPO business, a business I started here in 2007. And I was frustrated at how difficult it was to recruit. And I wanted to solve it. And I'll tell you why I wanted to solve it and kind of what led me to go to where I'm not supposed to be, which today is on this stage. The video I was going to show you, this is a video I shot about 1.5 years ago on the floor of the Philippine Stock Exchange. And the three gentlemen ringing the bell are the co-founders of a technology company called Zerpass. Has anyone here heard of Zerpass? A couple people in the back. This is the first technology IPO in the Philippines. Nick started this company 13 years ago with 62,500 pesos in capital. The company today is worth 21 billion pesos on the Philippine Stock Exchange. And if you see on the bottom right, there's a little action figure there. What they do is they build mobile content, mobile games, mobile apps for the emerging markets. And the reason I am starting with this is I'm showing you how the Philippines is changing. And it's changing because of technology. These logos may look familiar to you. You guys know Lazada, Rappler, Viber, Uber, Tesla at the bottom, Kalibrr, OLX, YouTube. Does anyone know what they have in common? I'll give you 100 pesos if you get it right. What they have in common is they are all disrupting large, established Philippine businesses. Lazada is disrupting SM and Ayala. Lazada recently was purchased for $1 billion by Alibaba. I would say that Alibaba would be a pretty formidable competitor for SM. Rappler, in 5 years, have completely transformed the notion of news and media. They're disrupting GMA, ABS, 60, 70-year-old Philippine businesses. Viber completely disrupted the telco business. 5 years ago, telcos made money from SMS. They've made SMS free, right? You guys send more Viber messages than SMSs today, right? Viber got so powerful that the telcos didn't want to compete anymore, and they're basically just giving it to you for free. Kalibrr, we're disrupting JobStreet, and I'll tell you a little bit about why we're doing that in a bit. OLX, who is OLX disrupting? If you're Filipino, you'll know this. Divisoria, the Tiange, Baclaran. The offline marketplace is going online. YouTube. If you ask any millennial, any young person, even yourself, do you watch more TV or do you watch more YouTube today? ABS-CBN has set up a studio in the Philippines just to make YouTube shows, right? Tesla, I've done this talk with Morocco. I say, Morocco, Tesla wants to eat your lunch. Because once I have a solar panel on my house, and I have the Tesla battery in my garage, I don't need you. I can live off the grid. So even something like Morocco, which most people would say is not disruptable, can also be disrupted. Uber, they're kind of disrupting everyone, right? They've become so disruptive that they've actually forced the Philippine government to change their laws. And when you think about Uber, the only thing Uber makes is an app for your phone. That's it. They don't have any cars. They don't have any drivers. They make an app for your phone. And they're worth about 8 Ayala corporations. One company, 5 years old. So disruption can happen very quickly and it can happen anywhere. And if I was a large, established Philippine business, I would basically say that if I'm not technology enabled, I'm vulnerable. And my saying is, you're either the disruptor or the disrupted. These guys are the disruptors. Pawn shop. Hopefully no one has had to visit a pawn shop recently. But a lot of the Philippines has to visit a pawn shop. When you look at this, like pawn shop, how can you disrupt that? Well, my friend David Margendorf, he's German, he's based in the Philippines, is disrupting the pawn shop industry with Pawn Hero. You go to Pawn Hero, you take a photo of my watch, upload it to Pawn Hero, they'll send a courier to pick up your watch, and they'll trade you with a prepaid debit card. They'll do an appraisal of the watch. Within 24 hours, they will send you an offer. If you accept the offer, money goes into the card, transaction is done. Since they've partnered with Tugo, overnight, they have instantly become the largest pawn shop in the Philippines without owning a single pawn shop. Every Tugo location is a pawn shop. So when you look around you in the Philippines, all I see are opportunities to leverage technology to disrupt large, established, complacent businesses. Absolutely. Okay. This is who we're disrupting, JobStreet. Does anyone here love JobStreet? Some giggles. It's one of those necessary evils, right? And what JobStreet and their parent Seek, which is based in Australia, what they have is a monopoly. They have a monopoly in recruitment in the Philippines. About a year and a half ago, JobsDB shut down. So as an SME, as a company, you have one source for recruitment, JobStreet. Just like you have one source for power, Morocco. What happens when you have one source of something? Things get expensive, right? Service isn't that good because there's no incentive to be good. So this is who we're disrupting. And the reason we're disrupting it is if you ask a young person today in the Philippines, what do you want to do? They say, sir, I want a job. What kind of job? I just want a job. The problem with this and them is they don't know what to search for. So you give them a search box, they don't know what they're looking for. So this is why we believe it's a fundamentally broken model for how to be matched to work. This is our mission. We want to become the number one place in the Philippines, Indonesia, and in the world where people can find jobs that they're fit for. And I'll tell you a little bit about how it works shortly. For the job seeker, this is their problem. And this is also the recruiter's problem. You have to manually sort, filter, and rank resumes. This process hasn't changed much. And if you're the job seeker, you're just a piece of paper. You have no way to actually showcase yourself to an employer. When job seekers go to events, it feels like this, right? It feels like a transaction. Is this how you're supposed to find the job that's going to allow you to build a career in an environment like this? Probably not. As Richard was saying, we're a technology startup. And those are the problems that we want to solve. So what does Kalibrr do? We use artificial intelligence to match people to jobs on the basis of interest, experience, and skills. I'll give you an example. At Kalibrr, we have 12 software engineers. They're all summa cum laude, magna cum laude, UP Diliman, computer science, or mathematics graduates. Absolute best engineers in the country. So we have a very high standard. We recruit all of our talent from our platform. And about 6 months ago, I had a candidate apply, TIP, second, third tier school, right? Not that good. And normally we would not interview a candidate because he didn't come from the right background. But with Kalibrr, every job seeker, they take assessments in order to apply to jobs. And this candidate, even though he didn't go to the right school and didn't have any work experience, scored really high in our programming assessment. We gave him an interview, and now he has a job. That's what we want to be able to do. We want to say that the school that you didn't go to doesn't matter. The degree that you don't have doesn't matter. What matters is the skills that you can bring to the table. And with Kalibrr, we allow job seekers to showcase those skills to employers. That's what we do in a nutshell. We compete against JobStreet. And this is why I needed $2 million. JobStreet was acquired for almost $1 billion 2 years ago. We're going against a very well-funded competitor, but we're winning. We're winning because we built a product that resonates both with job seekers as well as employers. And I invite you all to sign up and check it out. But my journey started here. Even though I don't sound like it, I'm Filipino, and I was born in Dasmariñas, Cavite. Pretty humble beginnings. My mom had me when she was 19 years old. She had my brother when she was 20 years old. Wasn't really that good at planning. And like many Filipinos, growing up in the 80s, it was not easy. And we left. We left in 1988 to seek a better life abroad. And my mom took me here with my brother, and we moved to the San Francisco Bay Area. So this is where I grew up from about 1988 until 2007. And growing up there, quickly realized that we didn't have a lot of money there either. And I realized that when I was in high school, that I was actually middle school, and I would complain to my mom, can you please buy me another pair of shoes? You buy me one pair per year, and by the time the school year is over, they're dirty, they're ugly, there's holes in them. He's like, anak, I can't, we don't have any money. If you want to buy shoes for yourself, you want to buy the Air Maxes, you have to figure out how to buy it on your own. So I quickly realized the value of hard work. And as soon as I could, I got a job here. This is my first job, making tacos at Taco Bell, 15 and a half years old, making minimum wage in the US, but loving it because I had my own money. And what I tell people, whether you're an entrepreneur, someone in school, even a successful executive, is this. Luck doesn't happen. People say I'm lucky. Oh, Paul, you get to do these talks, you're running a company. I'm not lucky. I work hard, and the hard work manufactures an opportunity for me to potentially be lucky. But I have to be ready, I have to be prepared, right? So as an entrepreneur, this is the foundation of everything that I do, is hard work that hopefully manufactures opportunities to be lucky. And hopefully, I've worked hard enough to be on the stage, courtesy of Richard, and I get luckier, Kalibrr gets lucky after this talk. I worked hard at Taco Bell in high school. Ended up going to UC Berkeley. I studied economics at UC Berkeley. And the second lesson that I gained there was that life networks matter. You have to plug into the right ones, right? And the way I kind of look at my life today is I'm a product of the people I've been able to be kind of surrounded by. And I like to surround myself with people that I want to become. And I also like to surround myself with people that maybe want to become me. They're also working their way up, right? So I try to surround and create a network that allows me to get to the outcomes that I want. After Berkeley, I thought I was going to be a consultant at Accenture. But that did not work out. I failed the final interview with the managing partner at Accenture, and I was a week away from graduating from arguably the best university in the US without a job. So absolute failure. And since I didn't have a lot of time to get a job, I kind of hustled and I wanted to find something before I graduated. And, you know, what I could have easily done at that failure is give up, right? And when I talk to people, there's two things. Either one, they're afraid of failure and they've never actually failed, or they failed once and then they kind of give up, right? The journey of life is a series of failures that you begin to just continuously overcome, right? And you never want to get a single failure let you down, because if I let that failure at Accenture define me, I would not be here today. So I turned that failure into an internship. I couldn't even get a job after Berkeley. And I got an internship at a startup called Mercantila. So what the LBCX guy was showing, where's LBCX? Is he still here? There he is. What they were showcasing, that e-commerce platform, that's what I did in 2004. Right? We built our own order management system, and we were the largest retailer in the US of bunk beds. Exciting, right? And rowing machines too. This is, it's called category e-commerce. And this is before Amazon sold everything. And when you kind of look at this, right? Who's going to be the best bunk bed retailer in the Philippines? Right? This notion of an e-commerce wave is going to come as well here. It's happening. And what I saw happen in the US is what I expect to also happen in the Philippines. So as an entrepreneur, e-commerce is very, very exciting. And that's where I cut my teeth as a technology entrepreneur. This startup, which offered me an internship and eventually offered me a job, 6 months after I joined, they raised $22 million in venture capital funding. And they're like, okay, we have this money, we need to grow, we need to scale our operations. We're going to go to India. Does anyone want to volunteer to move to India? Nobody wanted to move to India. Maybe they were scared of being away from their family, scared of becoming sick, right? Something terrible happening to them, but no one volunteered. But I was the crazy one who was 21 years old, and I said, I will move to India for you. Tell me what you need me to do. I will do anything. Because it was always a dream of mine to be able to travel for work, and I got a chance to be able to do that. The lesson here is, obviously, if someone offers you a free plane ticket, take it, but to get out of your comfort zone. As an entrepreneur, as an executive, as someone working within an organization, right? How comfortable are you today? Because if you're comfortable today and you're comfortable for a while, I'm pretty sure you're going to be uncomfortable at some point in the future. So look for opportunities to go outside of your comfort zone. After 2.5 years in India, I made it over to Google. And Google was an amazing company. I had a chance to work with some of the best people in the world at Google. But I quit after 7 months. And I realized working for a large organization, as amazing as Google was not for me. I missed the energy and excitement of a 25-person company, which Mercantila was. So in 2007, I told my mom, Mom, guess what? I'm quitting Google, and I'm going to move back to the Philippines. She's like, you're loco. Like, you're crazy. And the reason she says I was crazy is I was not only leaving the best company in the world, I was moving back to the Philippines. And if you're a Filipino American or an American, your perception of the Philippines, if you haven't spent a lot of time here, isn't very good. If you're a Filipino American, your view of the Philippines is dominated by a TV show called TV Patrol. And that show is crime, corruption, celebrities. It's not this. It's not the BPO boom, right? It's not an economy that's been growing 6.2% over the last 5 years. You don't hear that. When you hear the Philippines on CNN, what's happened? Typhoon, disaster. So if you kind of just look at how the Philippines is portrayed, it's not a very desirable place to go. And being Filipino American, my mom was like, you're not even being deported, and you're voluntarily moving back. Doesn't make any sense. But I guess that's what makes me an entrepreneur, is I kind of go against the tide, and I said, Mom, I see a lot of opportunity in the BPO space there. And in 2007, we built our first company in the Philippines. So as an entrepreneur, this is kind of one of my mantras, right? I tolerate risk. And I almost enjoy uncertainty, because to me, it feels like it's a problem that I can solve, right? What bores me is if the problems are solved and we're kind of just managing and operating a business. So I built my first company here. 2007, I was 24 years old. I had not lived in the Philippines for 20 years. I don't have any family here that live here. I could have moved to Nigeria or Pakistan. It would have been just as foreign. But we built a BPO business with no venture capital investment, using our credit card debt, my very small 401k account from Google. And this team here, you know what they were doing? They were actually working for Mercantila. That company that I used to work for, they became one of my first customers. We also had a team in '08 that worked with Friendster. You guys had a Friendster account back in the day? So whenever you would upload a photo on Friendster, we would actually look at that photo to see if there was pornography or drugs or things that were illegal. We saw all your photos, 1.1 million photos a day. So I built this business, and I spent 2007 to 2012 building this business. And today we have almost 1,000 people, almost exclusively working with some of the best startups from Silicon Valley. So companies like Lyft, TripAdvisor, Mint. We were working with Uber for a bit. So BPO focused just on well-funded Silicon Valley startups. That was our niche. And it was a comfortable thing to have as a young person with a successful business. But I became bored, and I became bothered. And I was bothered by two things. One, as a business person, I was frustrated at how difficult it was to hire people. We had one source. We didn't have a lot of tools. There wasn't a lot of efficiency in the process. The second part is even more troubling, and it's the job seekers problem. What happens to young people in the Philippines? They go to college, they get a degree, they don't have any skills. They end up unemployed, underemployed, or as an OFW. This happens hundreds of thousands of times every year. So what you have are hundreds of thousands of young people who had a dream squashed because their family spent all of this money to go to college, for them to go to college, and they couldn't even get a job at my BPO. They couldn't get a job at my BPO. They were not going to get a job at Accenture or Convergys, right? So that was troubling to me, that we had all of these people in the Philippines that wanted to work but didn't have the means to connect to the right opportunities. The framework that they had, a job board, their career placement office, fails them, right? And if it fails them, it makes it difficult for you as an entrepreneur, as an SME, to grow your business. So I was inspired to solve that problem and to figure out a way to help young people connect to those opportunities. Okay, I think we're nearing the end. Oops. So this is an example. Like, there's millions of people like Michael in the Philippines. Michael, unfortunately, could not finish college because of financial hardship. And if you ask people like Michael, how much did Michael need for tuition for a semester? Maybe it's 8,000 pesos, it's 9,000 pesos, which in the big scheme of things is nothing. But for people like Michael, that was their chance at a dream, at an opportunity. And when people like Michael don't graduate from college, it's hard for them to get work, they get judged. But Michael may actually have the skills, he just didn't have the means. So with a platform like Kalibrr, we allow people, whether you're college educated or a college undergraduate to showcase your skills to employers so that that resume comes alive, right? That resume comes alive. So 2 more slides. So I've given you guys a story of Kalibrr, startups, entrepreneurship. I'm going to show you guys 2 photos. So this is a photo from Y Combinator. Y Combinator is based in Silicon Valley. They're an accelerator for technology startups. Dropbox, Airbnb came from that same organization. And this is also a photo with MVP. This is when I was raising money for Kalibrr. And we were actually able to raise $2 million from investors, and all I had was a PowerPoint presentation, right? We turned down Mr. MVP. His terms were not that good. But when I look at this photo, and I kind of reflect on the story that I just shared, someone like me, kind of from where I've started, should not be in a boardroom with MVP. But I am. So for you guys, where will you go one day that you're not supposed to be? Thank you very much.